Hey man, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. This week I'm going to be showing you exactly how I use bridging finance to finance my properties and buy properties using very little of my own money, or sometimes completely none. So what is bridging finance? Bridging finance basically is like a short-term mortgage, like a short-term loan designed for buying houses, refurbing houses, but for a short period of time. So a mortgage is a long-term lending product. Bridging is a short-term lending product. So when should you use one? When should you use the other? How long are you looking to borrow the money for? If you're looking to borrow the money for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you're looking at a mortgage. If you're looking to borrow money for a matter of months, maybe 2 months, 4 months, 9 months, up to maybe 18 months, you want bridging finance. Now, bridging finance comes with a lot of connotations of being really expensive, really risky, really scary. Bridging finance can be. It can be really bad for you if you don't know what you're doing. So before you get into bridging finance, make sure your deal stacks up. There's nothing worse than going into a deal with bridging, which carries a lot of risk if you get it wrong, with a bad deal. Bridging finance is designed to buy properties using less money than you would normally if you were buying with cash, but on properties you cannot get a mortgage on. Bridging finance was initially designed for people who are moving homes. Let's say they're living in this home, they want to move out and want to buy this home, but they haven't sold this home yet, but they want to buy this one and move into it. So they buy this one on bridging finance for maybe 6 months, they move in, and then while they're living here and they're still paying a mortgage on this one, they sell this property, they get the payment through, that clears the bridging finance, they get a mortgage, and away we go. Bridging finance has now developed into an unregulated lending product, which is great news for investors. It basically means we can buy houses that need work or that are not mortgageable. Maybe they've got no kitchen, maybe they're falling down, maybe they've got Japanese knotweed. There's a whole host of things that you can need them for. But when you can't get a mortgage, it's likely that you can get bridging. Bridging finance companies also don't care about you. They don't care how much money you have necessarily. They don't really care how much experience you have. They don't really care what your credit score is. They don't really care about you at all. They care about one thing, the deal. If the deal makes money, if the deal stacks up, they're happy to go into it. But make sure that you've checked everything at least 3 times. Make sure your deal is perfect. The way bridging finance works is you will get lent a proportion of either the done-up value or a portion of that you're buying it for. So if you're buying a property for less than £65,000, the rule of thumb, that's a rule of thumb, not set in stone, it's not gospel. The rule of thumb is you will get 65% loan to value on the purchase price. That means that they will lend you 65% of what you're buying it for, and you have to put down the 35%. Interest is retained, which means you pay at the end when you clear the loan, and you pay the interest monthly. If your property is worth more than £65,000, not only will they lend you 65% of the purchase price, they'll also lend you most, if not all, of the refurb cost, which is awesome. So you're buying a house like £70,000 and you're spending £20,000 on it, and it's gonna be worth like £150. Great, you can buy a property for £70,000. The bridging company will give you 65% loan to value on the purchase price. They give you all the $20,000 you need to refurb it, and then you get a mortgage at the end at the £150 when it's all done, and that pays back your bridging finance and your initial deposit and your legal fees, and you've got yourself a free house. That is a buy, refurb, refinance deal. Now, the powerful thing about bridging is when you get into projects that are a little bit bigger. And bridging and something called development finance are very similar. They're usually similar lenders, similar terms, but development finance you need a bit more experience. Bridging you need a little bit less. As a whole, as a rule of thumb. I'm not a broker, I'm not qualified to give you specific bespoke lending or financial advice, but from experience, this is kind of how it works out. Now, on the whole, you would think if you're getting into a property where you're buying it for like 250k, maybe you're spending another £200,000 doing it up, like you would think you're gonna need about 450 grand plus some ancillaries. But in reality, you can get that done for like 100k. You can get into a house like that, or a property, or a building, or a deal like that, using a hell of a lot less money than you initially thought. Because bridging finance will lend on the property, and development finance will do exactly the same thing. If your refurb is really big, that means that basically they just give you your money for your refurb in stages when you meet certain sections. How does bridging work? How do I go about getting one? What are the terms? How much interest do you pay? I just don't understand it. Bridging finance, typically speaking, is short-term loan at about 1% per month interest and around 2% worth of entrance or exit fees, or a mix of the both. It does depend on the deal, depends on you, it does depend on a load of things, but roughly speaking, they're pretty good figures to use to quote how much it's going to cost you for your interest. Also bear in mind, are they going to lend you my refurb or not? So that changes the amount of the loan that they're going to give you. So all those percentages are of the loan. In terms of brokers and things to arrange it, if you've got a good mortgage broker, a whole of market mortgage broker, the likelihood is they're going to do bridging finance as well, because a lot of the lenders that will do mortgages will also do bridging because they can make more money from it. You can get a really special product called a bridge to let product. Now, these are super exciting because it's one mortgage product which allows you effectively to do what you could have done back in 2008 and refinance your property in a day. Yeah, you can refinance property same day. You don't have to wait 6 months anymore. You get something called a bridge to let product, which means it's one product which starts off as a bridge. They pre-approve all your bridging, they pre-approve the deal, they'll even pre-approve you for a mortgage at the end with the same lender. So you start on a bridging product, you pay one set of broker fees, and when you get to the end of the deal, the end of the refurb, poof, becomes a mortgage. Just like that. Really, really easy. A surveyor will come around, just check you've done everything you're meant to do, but it's super, super powerful. Bridging finance is great because it allows you to get into deals that you couldn't always get into. It allows you to leverage your cash more. But just be careful, because if you don't get your bridge right, there's only 3 ways of clearing your bridging finance. 1, you refinance onto a long-term mortgage product. Number 2, you sell the property. Number 3 is you pay that debt off in cash using your own money. Problem is, if you've got that far and your bridge isn't working out for you and you can't get the mortgage, the deal's probably dead in the water. Unless you can sell it off, at which point you're going to make a loss anyway, you're kind of stuck. So if we're going to go into a refurb that's, let's say, is 4 months long for everything, we're going to be taking the bridge out for a bare minimum of 6 months, if not 7 or 8, or even 9 months. It might be a little bit more expensive. The bridging company might turn around and go, you don't need 9 months, you only need 7. I'll go, great, I'll take 7. Because I'd rather have 2 or 3 months worth of contingency time, run over time, before I'm forced to pay that back. The extra time won't really mean your interest payments are that much higher. There's usually no fees for clearing the interest early, but there's huge fees, massive fees, if you do not clear it on the day that you were meant to clear it by. So get some advice from your broker, understand the product before you go into it, but 100% use it if you know what you're doing. And if your deals are great, then use it. Don't use bridging just to buy a house. It's not an alternative to a mortgage. It doesn't mean you get your houses for free. You're still going to put money in, but it allows you to get into deals that you couldn't get into before. And it allows you to act as a cash buyer, which typically means you're going to get slightly lower purchase prices. Bridging is designed for a short-term lend. Get in, get out. Hopefully pulling all your money back out, recycling your cash, and going on to deal number 2. That's how bridging works. Bridging finance is powerful. It's not that risky. It's not that expensive. I mean, it's expensive compared to a mortgage, but it's not expensive compared to not doing the deal at all and not making any money. Is it risky? Yeah, if you get it wrong. But then buying a house that's going to fall down is risky. Not buying a house at all and staying broke for all your life is risky. Everything carries risk. Just understand how you mitigate that. I hope this deal's been of use to you. I hope you kind of understand a little bit more about bridging, how it works. Guys, if you want to pick my brains, ask me questions, and just drop a comment below, please like and subscribe to this video. If you've got a topic or a question you want covered in the video, why don't you drop me a message, why don't you drop me a comment, get in touch, and let me help you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week.